Welcome to Shorty Supercoach, and Wimbledon's on, so let's take a bit of a change in tune. Let's talk a little bit of tennis. You've probably realised or known through certain references in my Supercoach videos and footy videos that I do play a bit of tennis and do love my sport all round. So I wanted to talk tennis. Wimbledon is on, loving it, it's going very well, but I wanted to talk about a man who is a big talking point. I would like to say divides opinion, but really there is just one opinion on this man, and we're talking Bernard Tomic, the much maligned and rightfully so bad boy of Australian tennis. Now, again, he was knocked out of Wimbledon, showed poor effort, faked an injury, and then came out in the press conference after the game and basically said that his heart wasn't in it, didn't really care. In more words or whatnot, he basically just said that he's playing for the money, he'll get through his career, he'll play to 34, he won't have to work again. And he loves to remind people how much money he's worth at just the age of 24 or whatever he is. My take on Tomic, he's immensely frustrating, but I reckon a couple of years ago I thought, look, let's give this man time. He's clearly immature, he's clearly struggling with a number of things, with the pressure, and he's obviously got a few kinks to iron out in his character. But 24 months on, he's the same tool. He's just a bloke that frustrates us to no ends, and he'll continue to do so. I listened to that press conference. We've seen him play. We've seen him tank games and tank matches and just play awful tennis, seemingly with his head in another postcode. But I just thought it was so intriguing watching that presser. Firstly, kudos to the honesty. Unbelievable. There would have been people who think similar lines to what he's going through with the motivation and whether it's worth it and the pressures and the travel. But then to come out and voice it in such a public manner just was absurd. I mean, and it pretty much sums him up. People say on the tour, around the ATP tour, that Bernie has a severe lack of self-awareness. And I just think he just smacks of it all the time. He just seems to be in Bernie land all the time. It's unbelievable. Watching that press conference, if you haven't watched it, I found a 6-minute video. I don't think it was a full presser, but I watched all that I could find. It was just unbelievable. He spoke so honestly. And then again, unbelievably in what he said, just to say the motivation wasn't there and the fact that it was a job. And then he said things like the fact that maybe there's a lot of good tennis players around there who can never win a slam, but he and Nick Kyrgios, with their ability, might have a hot streak and sneak one or pinch one or win 1 or 2 slams, which sums up how delusional he is. But I really do think he's either a man who's on the brink of a severe mental breakdown, or, and this is what I do think, he must have something going on up there. It's just, he must be delusional. I mean, I don't want to get personal here, but there must be more to it, because he just does not think rationally. He doesn't respect the game. He doesn't seem to grasp or understand the gift he's been given. If you don't want to fulfill it, then don't play. And I just think, look, to be in it for the money, that's a cop-out. I think everyone wants success, but he's clearly just in this terrible state of mind, and perhaps there's a longer history of that we probably won't know. But I really do think it's time that he just steps out of tennis for a solid year or something like that until he finds the hunger. Because we've seen Ash Barty do it. She obviously had nowhere near the sort of things that gone on with Bernie, but nonetheless was struggling to have love for the game and motivation for the game. Wasn't sure if it was for her. Came back playing brilliant tennis. I think Tomic, he has to do it. And also this myth about his talent and how if he just switched this mental aptitude around that he could win a slam. I think Kyrgios fits into that boat. He's got big weapons and could definitely win a slam. Bernard Tomic's game is far from slam credentialed at the moment. He doesn't really have a weapon. He doesn't really have anything to blast you off the court. He needs a bit of ticker. He needs a bit of Leighton Hewitt in him to win matches. And the fact is, when you're measuring heart and character, you measure it up against Leighton Hewitt right at the top. And if you go down to the bottom, there's Bernard Tomic. And that may seem harsh, but it frustrates me so much when I watch him, and even more so when I hear him talk about his extreme lack of care. And you see people like Jordan Thompson or Millman, these sort of fellas who aren't gifted with as much talent, but gee, they work hard. And I just think, if it's not for Tomic, then it's not for Tomic. Give it away, do whatever. And he may have millions, and he may play for 10 years and not have to work that much for the rest of his life, but you can't buy respect. And that's what I don't think he quite understands. And it's amazing to think he doesn't understand. He's not the first bad boy in a sport that we've seen. But generally, when they get to your mid-20s, there's a change. Andre Agassi was like that. Even Leighton Hewitt at the start of his career had people offside for different reasons. And Roger Federer, as a young kid, was a mental case on the court, was throwing rackets left, right and centre. It hasn't clicked for Bernard, and I'm not sure it ever will. In fact, I would say if it hasn't clicked now, I don't think it ever will. One part of the presser that was interesting was the journalist asked, do you have the right team around you to support you? And he said, yep, I've got great support. I've had a number of teams, a number of people around me throughout my career. They've always given me support. I think he doesn't need support anymore. He needs a team around him that's going to question him, who's going to test him, and actually really ask some serious questions of Bernard, not just support him. So I'm not sure if he can ever change it. It'd be disappointing to see what is a fair amount of talent go absolutely wasted. But it looks like it's going to go that way. But I couldn't help but think, I know this video is perhaps a little bit late, but it's been a pretty busy week, but it just had me thinking. I just couldn't believe it. It's unbelievable to hear those sort of comments. And above all, I think it would be sad to see someone's talent go so badly to waste. But he is a perennial frustration, and I don't think that's going to change. And it's disappointing. And at some stage, whether it's when he's 30, 50, 70, he's going to look back and be disappointed at things he said, decisions he's made. He may get to 30 where he doesn't have this natural athletic talent. He's still a good player, but maybe he'll be wishing that if he had this attitude and realisation 5 years ago in his prime, that maybe he could have won a slam. I can't see it happening, A, because of his attitude and his commitment to the game, and B, his actual game itself. I don't think it's quite up to it, beating the real gun players on the big stage. For what it's worth, Thanasi Kokkinakis, sure, he's no angel either. We've seen a few things in the paper over the journey, but he's a competitor. You watch him play. Probably doesn't have as big a weapons as, say, Kyrgios, but he will be our best male tennis player over the next decade, unless someone else were to come through that's even better. But I would say people talk about Kyrgios and Tomic. I think Kokkinakis is going to be the man. Not necessarily because he has the biggest game. He has a very good game, but he's got grit, he's got character, fights hard, seems to understand. Maybe it's because of his injuries he's been through. Hasn't been gifted to him on a platter. He works hard for what he's getting, and seems to have a genuine sense of what it's all about. So hopefully that reigns true. I'll be interested to watch it over the next few years, but let me know your thoughts on Bernard. I'm sure they'll all be very similar, and hopefully you've enjoyed this shake-up from footy to tennis. So by all means, give me your thoughts on that. Tomic, as always. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. I'll chat to you guys soon.